Let's hope that we
One
get
second.
going.
Shut up, man. Let's make this quality. Let me do it. Let me be the boss for a second. Add a live shot. All right, welcome back. You're watching DEADTV live. We're broadcasting from central Berlin, Prince Lauerberg, and simulcasting Reykjavik, Iceland. This is our station. Right now we're talking to our friend Greg Foreman out in LA. He just got back from a show, so I'm going to put him on right now. Hi, Greg.
Hello. Good morning. Good evening.
So tell us about this. I wanted to say Black Power show you went to, but actually it was just the Black Angels. Greg's in Cat Power, so that's what's going on.
Right. Yeah, I went to see the Black Angels. Met a lot of great friends. The band was good. They opened for Black Mountain, who
Black Angels opened for Black Mountain?
Strange, believe me.
Black Mountain's massive, huh?
No, I think what happened was the tour was set up before.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Probably before the Black Angels blew up a little bit more, and Christian was, saying that they switch off night after night. So one night the Angels open, and one night the other band opens. So, I mean, after the Black Angels played, a bunch of people left. I mean, that was my...
Oh, see, their whole fan base are just dickheads. See, that's how you know that they hooked up with a major label. Right there. Black Angels.
Yeah. I didn't know they were on a major label.
Of course, man. Everything's a boutique label now. They got major distribution. You don't get on fucking David Letterman without being on a major label, you dickhead. Come on. Where the fuck have you been? Sorry. I just want... I don't really mean that you're a dickhead. I just meant, like, come on, how naive can you be? That's what I was trying to say. But just, like, my mom came out.
Right, no, I hear that.
She slipped out from under my wig. Because it's, like, outrageous that you would even question what I'm saying, almost.
Well, I've been sort of out of that world for a little while.
Well, of course they've signed a publishing deal and all that shit. Those guys want to eat. That's not... You don't even get in any media at all without being hooked up these days. There's no such thing unless you want to be in some girls' fanzine or something. It's all dialed in or nothing. There's just too much fucking competition and money out there. See?
Exactly.
There's not so many rich people just going, fuck it, I'll make this website and talk about things I like because that's, what you should do. People are like, there's an angle to everything. That's why people won't repost your stuff on Facebook because they think they're just, working for free or something.
Exactly.
All right, so carry on.
No, so the show was, the Black Angels was good, and then I ran into the Meek, which is just our friend Allie, or your friend and my friend Allie, and her bandmate Amy.
Suna's friend too, man. The Ravenettes have a fucking song.
Right. And then they were with Miranda Lee Richards, who was another friend of ours.
Yeah, she's great.
And then up popped Amy and Scott from the Black Rider. So it was like...
Yeah, we just named all those people. All those fucking egomaniacs should be watching right now. They should be in the chat room. But where the fuck are they? Making margaritas or something? Is there a party at David Derzinski's house that we didn't get invited to? Probably, right?
Probably, but no. Actually, he wasn't there. I didn't see him somehow.
It's because he's a cheapskate, man.
And Christian invited us back to his hotel.
Okay. What was that like?
It was crazy. It was like...
Oh, you went?
Yeah, I went.
Okay. You're like, I can't pass this up.
Well, just what a crew, right?
I should have had you guys bring Jeff Davies and a guitar. That would have been funny, see?
And we should have had a computer.
Because Jeff would have walked right up on stage with the Black Angels playing and just plugged in and schooled those guys on how to play guitar, too. He's such a nutbag. I was just drawing blanks when we talked the other night, and I was like, let's play a trick on those guys. I was trying to think of somebody really just over the top that would just bum their whole little rock star world out.
Right.
And Jeff.
And he's the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Thing is, too, he's unrecognizable now. Like, have you seen him in a while?
We don't talk.
Oh, man, the guy's got, like, a full-on beard, long hair pulled back, always wears like a ski cap. I mean, you wouldn't recognize him. You'd be like, who is this guy?
Well, I'd love to sit and talk about other people, but I got a life, you know?
Right. Well, anyway, the show was great. The after party was fun. Just because of the people, everybody was cool. I don't know, it was a good night in LA, that's for sure.
Why do I doubt it for some reason? Because I'm just thinking I would be bored to shitless thinking about moving to Europe or something. Because I just remember all those days. And I've seen it all, I think. I've pretty much seen all the good stuff.
Well, you kind of invented it, so...
We all did. There was a lot of people really going bananas.
Yeah.
See, a lot of what made LA happen in the really good part of punk stuff, because the New York stuff isn't the good part of punk stuff, and it's not that free. And the reason why you know that is because you can't make crazy noise in the city. And if you're trying to pay New York rent or being a bohemian, don't give me that shit that you're buying guitars and making records and shit. See, so New York is just a fake, phony bullshit anyways, because I know the reality. Because I've lived in New York, and I make records, so you can't lie to me, and I don't care what you read.
Hey, man, I know where you lived right above that awesome, weird taxi Indian place, right?
Yeah. But I mean...
That place is fucking great.
Yeah, that place is out of control. Those guys love me, too, because, you know...
Punjabi or something?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll just come in there and start speaking crazy shit and buying tapes and stuff, and they just love it. But, and that was wild, you know, because it's 24 hours a day, too. It's just off the hook.
Yeah.
But anyways, what I'm saying is, like, in California, everybody had a little bit of bread because they're folks or whatever, and you have space. 10 people can move into a detached house with a garage, and you can have a garage band. Totally different scene than New York. You don't get that shit happen. It's like the squat thing, with the power for bands and not get busted, I doubt it. Right?
Exactly.
Not in America. Not in New York. So, and it never was like that. So there's a totally different scene on the West Coast.
Yeah, I'm starting to discover that.
Well, I mean, just traditionally, even in the punk days, it's just there was a kind of madness that could never occur in a nightclub. That whole West Coast thing of even when you go to like Kill Rock Stars and all that stuff with all the basement youth miracles, and in Ohio, like people get more crazy because their houses aren't crammed together like little rats in a little box. See? So there's a whole underground world up in Portland and Seattle that New York will never even touch because they're crammed in there. You cannot do it.
Exactly.
There ain't no fuck. I don't care if you talk about Max's Kansas City. It's not anywhere near as crazy as some fucking mad motherfucker's house in Olympia just going off. Some Fruit Loop with some crazy party with 10 bands playing. You know, some 24-hour fucking keg party thing. You know, it doesn't even compare. It's like, okay, well, you guys can pretend you're fucking cool, but you guys aren't even living.
Right.
You're just telling yourself that. In London, it's all the same thing. It's just like the underground shit has always been where it's at. And fucking, that just doesn't happen except in Manchester. The reason why it happened is, should I break it down for the people?
Yeah, break it down.
Well, in Manchester, there's these cities, man. There's like, what do they call it, the Hole or something, where it's this part where Salford and all that shit is, where it was like these council cities, where they were trying to house that many people that they built this fucking shit in the 60s and even before that, where it just goes for miles of these projects, right? Well, then they started abandoning that shit by the 70s. Even the stuff built in the 60s was just like crazy. So the way they did it was slow. So there was ends of it where nobody even lived in. So the band started moving into that shit as if the people were leaving and as the drug dealers are coming in. So all those bands in Manchester, man, they would practice in fucking the projects because it was being abandoned in this massive megalopolis. So that's why, and then plus the industrial, like the abandoned warehouses, that's where it gets cool in England. It's because there was just miles, and Liverpool and shit, there's miles of empty houses with gangs and shit. So you just fucking rehearse in some flat, and you're in that whole little apartment building. You're the only fucking house that's still going, or maybe a couple fucking these anarchist left-wing types or something. You know, so that's why Manchester kicked it off. Is because the Fall and all that shit. Those guys were just like playing in a fucking empty project apartment on some block in one of those Manchester neighborhoods. See.
Oh, yeah, the fall.
And that's what allowed it all to happen. And then because the city was crawling with all that energy, the government just got wise and they made all the drugs and the boozing in one place. And that's why you get the hacienda. Because then the police could just keep an eye on all the young people with nothing to do at one place. And that's why that's why they allowed that to go down. It's because they could, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Instead of trying to police just miles of like private parties, they just made the party in one place, and that's just a different style. In LA, they can't. Yeah. There's so many fucking people and energy in LA. They can't even have. You can't even have just like a free for all kind of club going week after week because the gangs will show up and fuck. It'll be a warfare. All the underground shit just gets. Because I ran underground clubs like mad in LA. You can ask anybody that knows me. Back in the day, in the 80s and shit, we used to just break into warehouses and do that. And we had this like mailing list of like, am I boring you?
Not at all.
We had these mailing lists. We had these mailing lists with like 25,000 names on it and shit. And we would just do these raves. And this is before it was like, this is before 90210 and all that shit. Before people talked about it. And we got all that stuff from New York because Matt Dike moved out. Matt Dike did Power Tools, where he took the Studio 54 shit and took it way underground in Manhattan, and that was the meatpacking district and all that shit. That's when all that shit went off, and they ran his ass out of New York. And this is before all these mayors that you would even know their name. This was probably before you were clubbing, you know? Do you know what I'm talking about? And so he split and went to Houston because that's before the 80s depression hit, before that shit fell down, that was happening with money. There was a lot of rich white people there. So he moved the whole thing to down there, and that's how he hooked up with the Ghetto Boys. But then he had to lamb it out. They busted his ass in Texas, and simultaneously he did Power Tools in L.A., and that's how I hooked him with those people. And they were like the fucking, Matt Dike and those guys are like that Ivy League mob, man. They just got like all those guys had a carte blanche from their school to just be like Caucasian mafia. It's real old school shit. So they're just doing this crazy shit on this level, $1 million shit, so off the fucking radar, you know, making shit happen.
Yeah.
So far off the radar of the police and everybody. We were getting letters from the police, like, for catching people when the gang shit went down, the way we would bust people and elicit the police's house. Like, we could trap people inside a warehouse. If they came to take it over, we could just go out the back door and lock all the doors and call the police on everybody and go, yeah, there's a gang came in with shotguns trying to bust our party, and they've got drugs on them, and it's, you know, and they were just like, thank you for working with the LAPD. You know, just lock the doors, and then the doors open, it's the police. So great. And we just walk with the money, and it never became an issue because the police would come in, illegal party, you know?
Right.
Isn't that amazing? We would call the police on almost every single one we would do. And people never caught on. We just have these fantastic parties, and everybody would be like, oh, what a bummer, it got busted. And we'd be like, we got away every single time. Because we busted ourselves. See? Very smart. And so that's what I did. And then when I moved to San Francisco, I just didn't ever have to work again because all the people I knew were super badass. You know, I just picked it up from watching. I couldn't figure it out. Because I just thought it was great, you know, that people were born and grew up rich or something. I didn't realize that, like, somebody kind of told them some information, too, that you could use in life that made their whole experience in life a little bit different. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
You know, like the people that continuously get out of jail, and then there's all these people that just don't. And then so it's really confusing because a lot of people act like assholes and they think they can get away with it, and then they just get busted and their life becomes this nightmare. And there's all these other people that go, oh, I see that. You ever noticed that?
You know, I try and be in awareness most of the time.
Yeah, me too. Me too. See, and it doesn't matter if I talk about this stuff because everybody gets to blow me. What are they going to do about it?
What can they do?
There's not much they can do. They could say we're not going to invite you to the party, so you're going to have to pay for your own Coke. They could say you're going to have to pay for your own Coke because we don't like you.
They'll never do that. They can write a letter to the congressman.
And he said, quote, I'd like to help you, son, but you have to buy your own Coke. Right?
Oh man, absolutely.